The streets of New York were bustling with the usual rush hour chaos. Emma weaved through the crowd, her heart pounding in sync with her hurried footsteps. She was running late for an important meeting, one that could determine the future of her career. The sky threatened rain, and the first few drops began to fall, adding to her sense of urgency. As she rounded the corner, her eyes caught sight of a small figure huddled against a lamppost. It was a little girl, her tiny frame shivering in the cold drizzle, her eyes wide with fear. Emma's steps faltered, and she hesitated for just a moment. The bus she needed to catch was approaching the stop. She could see it from where she stood. But something about the girl's tear-streaked face called out to her, stirring a protective instinct she hadn't felt in years. Emma glanced at her watch, the seconds ticking away mercilessly, but she couldn't bring herself to walk away. The bus could wait. She approached the girl, her voice gentle. "Hey there, are you okay?" The girl looked up, her eyes filled with confusion and fear. I'm lost," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the growing noise of the city. Emma knelt down, her heart aching for this little stranger. "What's your name?" she asked, trying to keep her tone soothing despite the chaos around them. "Lily," the girl replied, her voice trembling. "I can't find my way home." Emma felt a pang of empathy as she gently took Lily's hand. "It's okay, Lily. I'll help you find your way back home. Do you remember where you live?" Lily shook her head, tears welling up again. "No, I was with my mom, but I got lost." Emma's mind raced. She knew she was sacrificing her chance to make it to the meeting on time, but that didn't matter anymore. This little girl needed her. "Don't worry," she said softly. "We'll figure it out together." The rain began to fall harder, but Emma barely noticed. She stood up, still holding Lily's hand, and together they began to walk. As they moved through the bustling streets, Emma tried to keep the conversation light, asking Lily about her favorite toys, her favorite foods, anything to keep her calm. But in the back of her mind, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that there was something strangely familiar about this situation, something that tugged at memories she had long buried. Lily's small voice broke through her thoughts. I think my house is near a big park," she said, her face scrunched up in concentration. Emma nodded, squeezing her hand reassuringly. "That's a good start. Let's head toward the park, and maybe something will look familiar to you." As they continued their journey, Emma's heart began to race for reasons beyond the immediate situation. There was something about Lily's voice, her mannerisms, that struck a chord deep within her. It was as if she was seeing a ghost from her past, though she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The city seemed to blur around them as Emma focused on finding Lily's home. The rain soaked through her clothes, and her shoes squished with every step, but she barely noticed. All that mattered was getting Lily to safety. Emma's thoughts were a whirlwind, memories of her own childhood flashing through her mind as they walked. Suddenly, Lily tugged on Emma's hand, pointing excitedly. "That's it. That's my street." Emma looked up and felt her breath catch in her throat. The street name was one she hadn't seen in years, a name she had tried to forget. Her mind raced as she followed Lily down the familiar road, each step pulling her deeper into a past she had never fully escaped. The rain fell harder, matching the storm brewing in Emma's heart. As they approached a house at the end of the street, Emma's pace slowed, a sense of dread creeping up her spine. She knew this place. She knew it all too well. When they finally reached the front door, Lily looked up at Emma with a smile that melted her heart. "This is it. This is home." But as Emma lifted her hand to knock on the door, a flood of memories crashed over her, and she realized just how deeply she was about to be pulled into a past she thought she had left behind. The door creaked open, and Emma's world tilted on its axis as she saw who was standing on the other side. The door swung open slowly, revealing a woman who stood on the other side. Emma froze, her breath catching in her throat. The years seemed to melt away as she stared into the familiar eyes of the woman in front of her. It was Olivia, her sister who had disappeared without a trace nearly a decade ago. For a moment, time stood still. The rain pounded around them, but Emma barely noticed. All the years of wondering, searching, and aching for closure suddenly came rushing back. Olivia's expression mirrored the shock in Emma's heart. Neither of them moved, paralyzed by the weight of the moment. Olivia? Emma finally managed to whisper, her voice cracking under the strain of her emotions. Olivia blinked, as if trying to convince herself that this was real. Emma? Is it really you? Her voice was thick with disbelief, her hand trembling on the door handle. The world around them faded as the two sisters took in the sight of each other, both changed by the years, but still unmistakably connected. Lily, unaware of the magnitude of the moment, tugged on Olivia's skirt, drawing her attention. "Mommy, this is Emma. She helped me find my way home," Lily said, her innocent voice breaking the spell that had held the two women in place. Emma's heart skipped a beat as the word mommy registered. The realization hit her like a wave. Lily wasn't just any child. She was Olivia's daughter. The flood of emotions that followed was overwhelming. Olivia's eyes filled with tears as she bent down to embrace Lily, holding her tightly. "Thank you, sweetie. I'm so glad you're safe," she whispered, kissing the top of her daughter's head. Then, slowly, she looked up at Emma again, her gaze searching for answers. How did you find us?" Olivia asked, her voice trembling with the weight of the past and the present colliding. Emma struggled to find the words, still reeling from the shock. "I didn't know. I had no idea. I was just helping Lily. I didn't know it would lead me to you." The rain continued to pour, drenching them all, but neither sister cared. They were too wrapped up in the moment, in the realization that the years of separation had somehow brought them back together. Olivia stepped back, opening the door wider. "Come inside," she said softly, her voice carrying a mix of warmth and hesitation. "There's so much we need to talk about." Emma hesitated for just a second before stepping over the threshold, her heart pounding in her chest. The house was warm, a stark contrast to the cold rain outside, but Emma felt a chill deep inside her soul as she crossed into a past she had tried to forget. As they entered the living room, memories flashed before Emma's eyes. The laughter they once shared, the secrets whispered late at night, the bond that had been severed so suddenly. She had so many questions but didn't know where to begin. Lily ran ahead, grabbing a blanket from the couch and wrapping it around herself. Olivia watched her daughter with a mix of pride and sadness that Emma couldn't quite place. Finally, Olivia turned to Emma, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never meant to disappear. I thought it was the only way to protect you." Emma's breath hitched as she sat down, the weight of her sister's words sinking in. "Protect me from what, Olivia? Why didn't you come back? I searched for you for years." Olivia's eyes welled up with tears as she sat beside Emma. "I know you did, and I'm so sorry. But there were things I couldn't explain back then. Things that made me believe staying away was the only way to keep you safe." Emma shook her head, struggling to comprehend. "Safe from what? From who?" Olivia took a deep breath, as if bracing herself for the truth. "From our father's past and the people he owed. I didn't want you to get caught in the crossfire." The room fell silent as Emma absorbed this revelation. Their father, who had died when they were young, had always been a shadowy figure in their lives, a man with secrets Emma had never fully understood. But she had never imagined that those secrets would have led to this. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you let me help?" Emma's voice broke, the years of pain and confusion spilling out all at once. Olivia reached out, taking Emma's hands in hers. "I didn't want you to be dragged into it. I thought I could handle it alone, but I was wrong. I'm so sorry, Emma. I thought I was doing the right thing, but all I did was hurt you." Tears streamed down Emma's face as she gripped her sister's hands. "I missed you so much, Olivia. I thought I'd lost you forever." The two sisters embraced, the years of separation melting away in that moment of reconciliation. Lily watched them, a smile spreading across her face as she saw the love and relief in their embrace. As they pulled back, Olivia wiped her tears and smiled softly. "We have a lot to catch up on, but right now, I'm just glad you're here. I never imagined this day would come." Emma nodded, her heart full of emotions she could barely process. "Neither did I, but I'm so glad it did." In that moment, despite all the pain and confusion, there was a sense of hope, a feeling that somehow they could rebuild what was lost. And as they sat together, sharing stories and tears, the rain outside began to ease, as if the storm had finally passed. The rain had finally stopped, leaving the world outside shrouded in a misty calm. Inside the house, the tension was just beginning to lift as Emma and Olivia sat together, their hands still intertwined. The silence between them was heavy with unspoken words, but neither sister knew how to start unraveling the tangle of emotions and memories that had been locked away for so long. Lily, sensing the shift in the room, quietly settled herself on the floor with a coloring book, giving her mother and aunt the space they needed. Her presence was a small comfort, grounding them in the reality of the moment. Olivia broke the silence first, her voice soft but steady. After Dad died, things got complicated. He owed money to dangerous people, and when they came looking for him, they found me instead. I didn't know what else to do, so I ran. I thought if I could disappear, they'd leave you and Mom alone. Emma listened, her heart aching as Olivia spoke. She could see the pain in her sister's eyes, the weight of the burden she had carried all these years. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. We could have figured it out together. Olivia shook her head, a sad smile tugging at her lips. I was so scared, Emma. Scared for you, for Mom. I didn't want to drag you into the mess Dad left behind. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I didn't realize how much I was hurting you by staying away. Emma's mind raced with 1,000 questions, but one in particular burned in her chest. And Mom, did she know? A shadow crossed Olivia's face as she nodded. She knew some of it. I told her I had to leave, that it was the only way to keep you both safe. She begged me to stay, but I couldn't. I was too afraid. Emma felt a pang of guilt as she remembered how angry she had been with her mother, blaming her for not doing more to find Olivia. Now, she understood that her mother had been just as heartbroken, just as powerless. She never told me, Emma whispered, the realization hitting her hard. She never told me why you left. She didn't want to burden you with it. Olivia replied, her voice thick with emotion. She wanted to protect you, even if it meant keeping you in the dark. Emma swallowed hard, the pieces of the puzzle finally starting to come together. All those years, I thought you didn't care, that you just left because you didn't want to be with us anymore. Olivia's eyes filled with tears as she shook her head. I never stopped caring, Emma. Not for a single day. Leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I regretted it every moment. But I thought it was the only way to keep you safe. The room fell silent again, the weight of the truth settling over them both. Emma could feel the anger and hurt she had harbored for so long slowly dissolving, replaced by a deep sadness for what they had lost. After a few years, when things calmed down, I tried to come back. Olivia continued, her voice barely above a whisper. But by then, everything had changed. I had Lily, and I didn't know how to explain everything to you. I was ashamed of what I'd done, of the life I had led. I didn't think you'd want me back. Emma looked at her sister, her heart breaking at the pain in Olivia's voice. Of course I would have wanted you back. I would have done anything to have you in my life again. Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she nodded. I know that now, but at the time, I felt so lost, so undeserving of your love. I stayed away because I didn't know how to face you. Emma reached out, wiping away her sister's tears with a tenderness that had been missing for too long. It doesn't matter anymore, Olivia. You're here now. We're together again, and that's what matters. Olivia leaned into Emma's touch, her shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. I'm so sorry, Emma. I'm so sorry for everything. Emma pulled her sister into a tight embrace, holding her as if she could mend all the broken pieces with just that one gesture. I'm sorry, too, for not understanding, for being angry, but we have each other now, and we can figure this out together. They stayed like that for a long time, two sisters reunited after years of pain and misunderstanding. The past had left scars, but in that moment, they both knew that healing was possible. They had lost so much time, but there was a lifetime ahead to make up for it. When they finally pulled apart, Olivia looked over at Lily, who was watching them with wide, curious eyes. Lily, come here, she called softly. Lily stood up and walked over, her small hand slipping into Olivia's. Mommy, are you okay? She asked, her voice full of concern. Olivia smiled through her tears and nodded. I'm okay, sweetie. This is your Aunt Emma. She's very special to me, just like you are. Lily looked up at Emma with wide eyes, a shy smile spreading across her face. Oh no. Emma's heart swelled as she knelt down to be at Lily's level. Lily, I'm so happy to meet you. Lily wrapped her arms around Emma in a quick, affectionate hug, then pulled back, her curiosity getting the better of her. Are you going to stay with us? Emma glanced at Olivia, who gave a small nod. Yes, if that's okay with you, Emma replied, smiling at the little girl. Lily grinned and nodded enthusiastically. I'd like that. As the evening wore on, the three of them sat together, sharing stories and laughter that had been absent from their lives for too long. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer felt like an insurmountable wall. Instead, it was something they could face together, a challenge to overcome as a family. For the first time in years, Emma felt a sense of peace. She had found her sister, and in doing so, she had found a part of herself that had been missing all along. As the night drew to a close, she knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope, love, and the promise of a future they would build together. The following morning dawned quietly, the first rays of sunlight creeping through the curtains of Olivia's living room. Emma awoke on the couch, wrapped in a warm blanket that Olivia had placed over her the night before. For a moment, she lay still, listening to the soft sounds of the house waking up, the hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, and the gentle murmur of voices from the kitchen. As she sat up, memories of the previous night washed over her, bringing with them a mixture of relief and uncertainty. She had found her sister, reunited after all these years, but the road ahead felt daunting. There were still so many questions, so many wounds that needed healing. Emma stood and made her way to the kitchen, where she found Olivia and Lily sitting at the table. Olivia was sipping coffee, looking thoughtful, while Lily munched on a piece of toast, her feet swinging back and forth beneath the chair. Good morning, Emma said softly, hesitant to disturb the peaceful scene. Olivia looked up, a warm smile spreading across her face. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Emma nodded, taking a seat beside her sister. Better than I have in a long time. Lily grinned at her, crumbs clinging to the corners of her mouth. Mommy makes the best pancakes. Do you want some, Aunt Emma? Emma's heart swelled at the simple question. I'd love some, Lily. Thank you. As Olivia stood to make another batch of pancakes, Emma watched her sister with a mixture of admiration and sadness. It was clear that Olivia had built a life here, one that Emma had been absent from for far too long. The years apart had shaped them both in ways they couldn't yet fully comprehend. But sitting there in the warm kitchen, Emma felt a glimmer of hope. As Olivia flipped the pancakes, she glanced over at Emma, her expression serious. There's something I need to tell you, something I've been dreading. Emma's stomach tightened at the tone in her sister's voice. What is it? Olivia set down the spatula and turned to face her, taking a deep breath before speaking. When I left, I didn't just disappear from your life. I also let go of our mother. Emma felt a pang of confusion. What do you mean? I stopped contacting her after a while, Olivia admitted, her voice tinged with guilt. At first, I kept in touch, let her know I was okay. But eventually, I couldn't keep it up. It was too painful, and I didn't want her to see the life I had fallen into. Emma's heart ached at the thought of their mother, who had spent years grieving the loss of one daughter while holding on to the other. Olivia, she never stopped loving you. She never stopped hoping you'd come back. Olivia's eyes filled with tears as she nodded. I know, but I was so ashamed, Emma. I was ashamed of the choices I made, of the life I was living. I didn't want to face her disappointment, her sorrow. Emma reached out, taking Olivia's hand. You don't have to be ashamed anymore. We've all made mistakes. But the important thing is that we're here now, and we can make things right. Olivia squeezed her sister's hand, her tears spilling over. I want to make things right, but I don't even know where to start. A sense of determination settled over Emma as she looked into her sister's eyes. We start by forgiving ourselves, Olivia, and then we reach out to Mom. We give her the chance to forgive us too. Olivia nodded, her expression a mix of fear and resolve. "I am scared, Emma. What if she can't forgive me? What if it's too late?" "It's never too late," Emma said softly, her voice filled with conviction. "She's our mother. No matter what, she loves us. And she deserves to know that you're okay. That we're okay." Olivia wiped her tears and took a deep breath, nodding. "You're right. I need to talk to her. I need to make amends." Emma gave her sister a reassuring smile. "And I'll be right there with you, every step of the way." As they shared a quiet moment of understanding, Lily looked up from her plate, sensing the seriousness in the air. "Mommy and Emma, are you okay?" Olivia smiled through her tears and leaned down to kiss Lily's forehead. "We're okay, sweetie. We're just talking about important grown-up stuff." Lily nodded sagely, as if she understood, then went back to her pancakes, content with the answer. After breakfast, Emma and Olivia made the decision to call their mother. The thought of hearing her voice again filled Emma with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but it was a step they needed to take. Olivia dialed the number with trembling hands, and Emma could see the fear in her sister's eyes. When their mother's voice came on the line, warm and familiar, Olivia froze for a moment, overwhelmed by emotion. "Mom!" Olivia finally managed to say, her voice shaking. There was a long pause on the other end, and then their mother's voice came through, filled with disbelief and hope. "Olivia, is it really you?" Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes as she nodded, even though their mother couldn't see her. "It's me, Mom. I'm so sorry for everything." Emma watched as her sister poured out her heart, confessing the guilt and pain she had carried for years. Their mother listened, her voice breaking with emotion as she reassured Olivia that she had never stopped loving her, never stopped waiting for this moment. By the time the call ended, all three women were in tears, but there was a sense of relief, of healing that filled the room. They had taken the first step toward rebuilding their family, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a deep sense of peace. As Olivia hung up the phone, she turned to Emma, her eyes red but her smile genuine. "Thank you, Emma. I couldn't have done this without you." Emma wrapped her arms around her sister in a tight embrace. "We're in this together, Olivia. Always." The weight of the past had not disappeared, but it felt lighter now, more manageable. They had begun to forgive themselves, to forgive each other, and that was the most important step of all. As the day went on, the sisters spent hours talking, sharing memories, and making plans for the future. They knew there would be challenges ahead, but they also knew they had the strength to face them together. By evening, as the sun set and the house grew quiet, Emma looked around at the place that had once been a source of pain and fear. Now, it felt like home, a place where she and Olivia could start anew, where they could create a future that was free from the shadows of their past. And as they sat together, watching Lily play with her toys, both sisters knew that the journey ahead would be filled with love, hope, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and changes as Emma and Olivia worked together to heal the wounds of the past. There was an unspoken understanding between them that this was just the beginning of their journey, a journey that would require patience, forgiveness, and courage. One of the first steps was a trip back to their childhood home, where their mother still lived. The thought of returning to that place, with all its memories and ghosts, filled both sisters with a mixture of dread and anticipation. But they knew it was a necessary part of their healing. On the morning of their departure, Emma woke up early, unable to shake the nervous energy coursing through her. She found Olivia already in the kitchen, quietly sipping a cup of coffee, her eyes distant as she stared out the window. "Are you ready for this?" Emma asked gently as she joined her sister at the table. Olivia took a deep breath, nodding slowly. "I don't know if I'll ever be fully ready, but I know we need to do this. It's time." Emma reached out and placed a reassuring hand on Olivia's. "We'll face it together. Whatever happens, we're not alone anymore." Olivia gave her a grateful smile, and they both felt a sense of resolve settle over them. They were about to confront the past head-on, and they would do it side by side. The drive to their mother's house was long and quiet, with Lily napping in the back seat, oblivious to the tension that hung in the air. As they approached the familiar neighborhood, memories began to flood back, some warm and comforting, others painful and haunting. When they finally pulled up to the old house, both sisters sat in the car for a moment, taking in the sight of the place that had once been their home. It looked smaller than they remembered, more worn and weathered by the years. But there was still a sense of familiarity, of belonging. Olivia's hand shook slightly as she reached for the door handle. "I can't believe we're really here," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma squeezed her sister's hand, offering silent support. "We're here," she said softly. "And whatever happens next, we'll face it together." They stepped out of the car, their hearts pounding in unison as they made their way up the walkway. The front door loomed ahead, a symbol of the past they were about to confront. Emma could feel the weight of the years pressing down on her, but she also felt a glimmer of hope. Hope that this visit could bring the closure they both needed. Olivia hesitated for just a moment before raising her hand and knocking on the door. The sound echoed through the quiet neighborhood, and they both held their breath, waiting. After what felt like an eternity, the door creaked open, revealing their mother standing in the doorway. She looked older than Emma remembered, her hair streaked with gray and lines of worry etched into her face. But her eyes, those warm, loving eyes, were the same, and they filled with tears the moment she saw her daughters standing there. "Emma, Olivia!" Their mother's voice broke as she reached out, pulling them both into a tight embrace. "I can't believe it's really you." The three of them stood there for a long moment, holding each other as the years of pain and separation melted away. Tears flowed freely, but they were tears of relief, of joy, of finally being reunited after so much time apart. Their mother stepped back, her hands trembling as she cupped Olivia's face, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought I'd lost you forever." Olivia shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you, but all I did was cause more pain." Their mother pulled her back into a hug, her voice soft and full of love. "You're here now. That's all that matters." Emma stood beside them, her own heart swelling with emotion as she watched the reunion she had longed for. This was the moment she had dreamed of, the moment she had fought for, a moment of redemption for all of them. They spent the rest of the day together, sitting around the kitchen table where so many memories had been made. Their mother prepared a simple meal, and they talked for hours, sharing stories, laughter, and tears. There was so much to say, so much to catch up on, but they took it one step at a time, allowing themselves the space to heal. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the room, Emma looked around at the faces of her family, her mother, her sister, and her niece, and felt a deep sense of contentment. The journey had been long and difficult, but they were finally together again, and that made everything worth it. Later that evening, as they sat in the living room, their mother turned to Olivia, her expression gentle but serious. "Olivia, I need you to know something. I never blamed you for leaving. I always believed you did what you thought was best, even if it hurt. But I want you to know that you were always in my heart, and I prayed every day that you'd find your way back to us." Olivia's eyes filled with tears as she listened to their mother's words. "Thank you, Mom. I was so scared you'd hate me for what I did." Their mother shook her head, her voice firm. "I could never hate you. You're my daughter, and I love you, both of you, more than anything in this world. We've lost so much time, but we have a chance to start over, to be a family again." Emma nodded, her heart full as she reached out to take her sister's hand. "We're all here now. We can make up for lost time, and we can move forward together." The night wore on, and eventually, they all settled into the comfort of their old home. Olivia and Emma shared a room, just like they had when they were children, and as they lay in their beds, they talked late into the night, just like they used to. But this time, there were no secrets, no fear of the future. There was only the warmth of sisterhood, the bond that had withstood the test of time and distance. And as they drifted off to sleep, they both knew that this was the beginning of a new chapter, one that they would write together, with love, forgiveness, and the strength they had found in each other. The next morning, as the sun rose over their old neighborhood, Emma and Olivia awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside their window. They exchanged sleepy smiles, the weight of the past feeling lighter with each passing day. "We did it," Olivia whispered, her voice full of wonder. "We're really here." Emma nodded, her heart full of gratitude. "We're here, and we're going to be okay." They got up, ready to face whatever the day would bring, knowing that they had the love and support of their family to carry them through. As they joined their mother and Lily for breakfast, the house was filled with the warmth of a family reunited and the promise of a future filled with hope and love. The days turned into weeks, and slowly, a new routine settled into place. Emma and Olivia found themselves rediscovering the simple joys of family life. Mornings filled with the sound of Lily's laughter, afternoons spent in the garden with their mother, and evenings around the dinner table, where stories and memories flowed as freely as the conversation. It wasn't always easy. There were moments when the weight of the past threatened to resurface, bringing with it old fears and doubts. But each time, they faced those moments together, leaning on the strength they had found in one another. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day, rooted in the forgiveness and love they had fought so hard to reclaim. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden light across the yard, Emma and Olivia sat together on the porch, sipping iced tea and watching Lily play with a set of toy animals in the grass. Their mother was inside, preparing dinner, and the soft clinking of dishes and the scent of cooking wafted through the open windows, wrapping them in a comforting sense of home. "I can't believe how much has changed in such a short time," Olivia said, her voice thoughtful as she watched her daughter. "It feels like we're living in a completely different world." Emma nodded, her gaze following Lily as the little girl carefully arranged her toys in a circle. "It's amazing how quickly life can turn around when you finally let go of the past." Olivia sighed, a mixture of relief and sadness in the sound. "I just wish I had found the courage to do it sooner. I wasted so many years." Emma reached over, placing a hand on her sister's arm. "We both did, but we can't dwell on that now. What matters is that we're here, and we have a chance to make the most of the time we have." Olivia smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You're right, and I'm so grateful that you didn't give up on me, even when I gave up on myself." Emma squeezed her sister's arm gently. "I could never give up on you, Olivia. You're my sister, and no matter what happened, that bond was always there, waiting for us to find our way back to each other." A comfortable silence settled between them as they watched Lily play, the soft breeze rustling the leaves in the trees overhead. For the first time in years, Olivia felt a sense of peace, a peace she had thought was lost to her forever. The guilt and shame that had weighed her down for so long were finally beginning to lift, replaced by a deep and abiding sense of hope. "I've been thinking," Olivia said after a while, her voice tentative. "Maybe it's time I stopped running from my past. Maybe it's time I started building something new, something better." Emma turned to her, curious. "What do you mean?" Olivia took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "I've spent so long hiding, Emma. Hiding from the mistakes I made, from the life I chose. But being here, with you and Mom and Lily, it's made me realize that I want more. I want to create a life that I can be proud of, one that's rooted in love and honesty, not fear and regret." Emma smiled, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. "That's a beautiful idea, Olivia, and I know you can do it. You've already come so far." Olivia's eyes sparkled with determination. "I want to go back to school, Emma. I want to finish my degree, find a career that I'm passionate about, and show Lily that it's never too late to start over." Emma's smile widened. "That's amazing, Olivia. I'll be here to support you every step of the way." Olivia nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I know it won't be easy, but I'm ready. I'm ready to stop running and start living." As they sat there, sharing their hopes and dreams for the future, the bond between them grew even stronger, forged in the fires of their shared past and the promise of what lay ahead. They knew there would be challenges, moments when doubt and fear might creep back in, but they also knew that they had the strength to face those challenges together. That evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Their mother looked at her daughters with a mixture of pride and love. You've both been through so much, and yet here you are stronger than ever. I'm so proud of the women you've become. Olivia and Emma exchanged a glance, both of them smiling through the tears that welled up in their eyes. We couldn't have done it without you, Mom, Emma said softly. You were the one who held us together, even when we were falling apart. Their mother reached across the table, taking each of their hands in hers. I love you both so much, and I know your father would be proud of you too, if he were here. Olivia's breath caught at the mention of their father, but instead of the usual pain and regret, she felt a sense of peace. I think he would be, Mom, and I hope he knows that we're doing our best to honor his memory. Their mother nodded, her eyes shining with tears. He knows, Olivia. He knows. The rest of the evening was filled with laughter and stories, as the family shared memories of the past and talked about their plans for the future. There was a sense of unity that hadn't been there before, a sense of healing that had taken root and begun to grow. As the night drew to a close and the house grew quiet, Emma and Olivia found themselves once again sharing the room they had grown up in. They lay in their beds, the soft glow of the moonlight filtering through the curtains, and talked quietly about the days ahead. Do you think we'll really be okay, Emma? Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma turned to look at her sister, her heart full of love and certainty. I know we will, Olivia. We faced the worst of it, and we came out stronger. Whatever comes next, we can handle it. Olivia nodded, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Thank you, Emma, for everything. Emma smiled, reaching across the space between their beds to take her sister's hand. We're in this together, Olivia. Always. As they drifted off to sleep, the worries of the past began to fade, replaced by dreams of a future filled with hope, love, and the promise of new beginnings. The journey of redemption wasn't over, but they were on the right path, and for the first time in a long time, they both felt a deep sense of peace. And as the night gave way to dawn, a new day began, a day full of possibility, where the ties that bound them together would continue to grow stronger, leading them toward a brighter tomorrow. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows, filling the room with a gentle warmth. Olivia woke to the sound of birds chirping outside, their cheerful melody a stark contrast to the weight that had once pressed so heavily on her heart. She blinked slowly, savoring the peace that had settled within her since coming home. Beside her, Emma stirred, stretching and offering a sleepy smile as their eyes met. Morning, Emma murmured, her voice soft and content. Morning, Olivia replied, feeling a sense of serenity she hadn't experienced in years. It was a new day, a day full of possibilities, and she was ready to embrace it. They dressed quickly, eager to start the day. Downstairs, they found their mother already busy in the kitchen, humming to herself as she prepared breakfast. The smell of fresh coffee and pancakes filled the air, wrapping the house in a comforting embrace. Good morning, girls. Their mother greeted them with a warm smile. I hope you're hungry. I made your favorites. Olivia felt a swell of gratitude as she sat down at the table, the simple act of sharing a meal with her family filling her with a sense of belonging she had longed for. Lily bounded into the room, her energy infectious as she climbed into her chair, chattering excitedly about her plans for the day. After breakfast, as they cleared the table, Emma glanced at Olivia, a thoughtful expression on her face. Are you ready for what we talked about yesterday? Olivia nodded, her determination unwavering. Yes, I'm ready. It's time. Their mother looked between them, curious. What's going on? Olivia took a deep breath, meeting her mother's eyes. I've decided to go back to school, Mom. I want to finish my degree, find a career that I'm passionate about. I want to build a better life for Lily and me, a life we can be proud of. A mix of surprise and pride flashed across their mother's face. Olivia, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. Olivia's heart swelled at her mother's words. Thank you. I know it won't be easy, but I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to start over. Emma stepped forward, placing a supportive hand on her sister's shoulder. And I'll be right here with you, every step of the way. We'll do this together. Their mother's eyes shimmered with tears as she pulled both of her daughters into a tight embrace. "You've both come so far. I'm so grateful to have you back, to see you both thriving. Your father would be so proud." The mention of their father, once a source of pain, now brought a sense of peace to Olivia. She knew that the path ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but she also knew that she had the strength to face them, thanks to the love and support of her family. As the morning wore on, Olivia and Emma made plans to visit the local university, where Olivia would inquire about re-enrolling. The idea of stepping back into the world of academia was both exciting and daunting, but Olivia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer the scared, lost woman who had fled from her past. She was stronger now, ready to reclaim the future she had once abandoned. When they arrived at the university, Olivia took a deep breath, steadying herself before walking through the doors. Emma walked beside her, offering silent encouragement with every step. The campus buzzed with activity, students rushing to class, professors deep in discussion, the air filled with the promise of knowledge and growth. As they approached the admissions office, Olivia felt a flutter of nerves, but she pushed them aside, focusing on the goal ahead. Inside, they were greeted by a friendly administrator who listened patiently as Olivia explained her situation. She spoke openly about her past, the mistakes she had made, and her desire to start anew. It was a moment of vulnerability, but also one of immense strength. The administrator nodded thoughtfully, her eyes kind. "We're always here to support students who are ready to continue their education. You'll need to submit a few documents, but based on your previous credits, you should be able to pick up where you left off." Relief washed over Olivia, her heart pounding with excitement. "Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means to me." Emma beamed at her, pride shining in her eyes. "You did it, Olivia. You're really doing it." Olivia smiled, a mix of gratitude and determination in her expression. This is just the beginning. When they returned home, their mother and Lily were waiting eagerly for news. The moment Olivia walked through the door, the look on her face said it all. "I'm going back to school," Olivia announced, her voice filled with joy. "I'm really doing it." Their mother pulled her into a tearful embrace, while Lily jumped up and down excitedly. "Mommy, that's so cool. You're going to be like the other students." Olivia laughed, her heart light with happiness. "Yes, Lily, I am, and I'm going to make you proud." That evening, as the family gathered in the living room, they celebrated the first of many milestones in Olivia's journey. There was a sense of unity among them, a bond that had been reforged through love and forgiveness. They had faced the darkness of their past and emerged stronger, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. As the night wore on and Lily drifted off to sleep in Olivia's lap, Emma and their mother exchanged a look of deep understanding. They had all been through so much, but in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of family, they knew that the worst was behind them. Olivia looked down at her daughter, a soft smile playing on her lips. "She's my reason for everything," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "I want to give her the life she deserves." "You already are," Emma said gently, "and you're giving yourself the life you deserve too." Their mother nodded in agreement, her voice full of love. "You've both found your way back to each other and back to yourselves. That's the greatest gift you could give to each other and to yourselves." The room fell into a comfortable silence as they sat together, the future stretching out before them, bright with possibilities. They knew there would be challenges, moments of doubt, but they also knew that they would face them together, bound by the love and strength that had carried them through the darkest times. As they sat there, holding on to one another and the promise of the future, they understood that this was more than just a new beginning. It was a continuation of the journey they had started long ago, one that would lead them to places they had never imagined. And in that moment, they knew that no matter where life took them, they would always have each other. And so, as the moon rose high in the sky, casting a gentle glow over the house, the family settled in for the night, content in the knowledge that they were exactly where they were meant to be, together, united by the strength of love, and ready to face whatever came next. The weeks that followed were a blur of activity, filled with anticipation and the thrill of new beginnings. Olivia threw herself into her studies with a determination that surprised even herself. The textbooks and assignments that once seemed daunting now felt like stepping stones toward the future she had long dreamed of. Emma stood by her side, offering support and encouragement, her pride in Olivia growing with each passing day. But with the excitement came challenges. Balancing schoolwork with being a single mother was no easy feat, and there were days when Olivia felt overwhelmed, questioning if she had made the right choice. Yet each time doubt crept in, she looked at Lily's smiling face or received a reassuring word from Emma, and her resolve strengthened. One crisp autumn morning, Olivia sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open and notes scattered around her. She was deep in thought, working on a paper for one of her classes, when Lily wandered in, still rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning, Mommy," Lily mumbled, climbing into her lap. "Good morning, sweetheart," Olivia replied, kissing the top of her daughter's head. "Did you sleep well?" Lily nodded, her gaze drifting to the open laptop. "Are you doing your homework?" Olivia smiled, feeling a surge of pride at how easily Lily had adjusted to their new routine. "Yes, I am. I have a big assignment due next week." Lily studied the screen for a moment, then looked up at her mother, her eyes full of curiosity. "Mommy, what do you want to be when you finish school?" The question took Olivia by surprise. She had been so focused on getting through each day that she hadn't given much thought to what lay beyond graduation. But as she looked into her daughter's eager eyes, she realized that the future she was working toward wasn't just for herself. It was for Lily too. "I'm not sure yet," Olivia admitted, her voice thoughtful. "But I want to do something that makes a difference. Something that will help people, just like people have helped me." Lily considered this for a moment, then nodded solemnly. "I think that's a good idea. You're really good at helping people, Mommy." Olivia's heart swelled at her daughter's words, and she hugged Lily tightly. "Thank you, sweetie. That means a lot to me." Emma entered the kitchen then, her face lighting up at the sight of her sister and niece. "Good morning, you two. How's the homework coming along?" Slowly, Olivia admitted with a wry smile. "But I'm getting there." Emma poured herself a cup of coffee and joined them at the table. "I'm proud of you, Olivia. You're doing an amazing job." Olivia's smile widened, though she felt a twinge of self-doubt. "It's not easy. There are days when I feel like I'm just barely holding it together." "That's because you care," Emma said gently. "You're juggling so much, and you're doing it with grace and strength. It's okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. It just means you're human." Olivia nodded, taking comfort in her sister's words. "I couldn't do it without you, Emma. You've been my rock through all of this." Emma reached across the table, taking her sister's hand. "And I always will be. We're in this together. Remember?" Lily looked up at the two of them, her eyes shining with admiration. "You're both the best." They laughed, the sound filling the kitchen with warmth and love. It was a moment of simple happiness, one that Olivia cherished deeply. For so long, she had felt alone, lost in the shadows of her past. But now, surrounded by her family, she realized just how far she had come and how much she had to look forward to. As the days continued to pass, Olivia found herself growing more confident in her studies and in her role as a mother. She began to explore different career options, researching fields where she could use her experiences to help others. The idea of becoming a social worker started to take root in her mind, a way to give back, to support those who were struggling as she once had. One evening, after putting Lily to bed, Olivia sat down with Emma to talk about her future plans. "I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do after I graduate," she began, her voice steady with conviction. Emma leaned forward, her interest piqued. "And what have you decided?" "I want to become a social worker," Olivia said, the words feeling right as she spoke them. "I want to help families and children who are going through tough times, just like we did. I want to make sure they know they're not alone." Emma's face broke into a wide smile. "Olivia, that's incredible. You'd be amazing at it. You've lived it, you know what it's like, and that gives you a unique perspective." Olivia felt a rush of excitement at her sister's reaction. "I think it's the right path for me. It feels like a way to turn everything I've been through into something positive, something meaningful." Emma nodded, her eyes shining with pride. I'm so proud of you, Olivia. You've come so far, and I know you're going to make a real difference in people's lives." Olivia smiled, a sense of peace settling over her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was on the right path, one that would lead to a future filled with purpose and fulfillment. As the months passed, Olivia continued to excel in her studies, her confidence growing with each new achievement. She and Emma found a rhythm in their lives, balancing work, school, and family with a newfound sense of harmony. Their mother remained a constant source of support, her love and wisdom guiding them through the challenges they faced. Lily, too, thrived in the loving environment that surrounded her. She grew more confident, more curious about the world around her, and Olivia took pride in the knowledge that she was providing her daughter with the stability and love that had once seemed so out of reach. On the day Olivia graduated, the entire family gathered to celebrate the milestone. The ceremony was a blur of emotions, pride, joy, and the bittersweet realization of how far they had all come. As Olivia walked across the stage to receive her diploma, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her, for her family, for the second chances she had been given, and for the strength that had carried her through the darkest times. After the ceremony, they all returned home for a small celebration. Their mother had prepared a feast, and the house was filled with laughter and love as they toasted to Olivia's achievements and the bright future that lay ahead. As the evening wore on, and the house grew quiet, Olivia found herself alone on the porch, gazing up at the stars. The night was clear, the air cool and crisp, and she felt a deep sense of contentment. Emma joined her a few moments later, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "You did it, Olivia," she said softly, her voice filled with pride. Olivia smiled, her heart full. "We did it, Emma. I couldn't have done it without you." Emma shook her head, her eyes shining with emotion. "You were always strong, Olivia. You just needed to believe it yourself." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the night enveloping them in its peaceful embrace. Olivia felt the weight of the past lift even further, replaced by the promise of the future. "I'm excited for what's to come," Olivia said finally, her voice steady and sure. "I'm ready to take on whatever challenges come my way." Emma smiled, her heart swelling with pride and love for her sister. "And I'll be right here with you, every step of the way." As they sat together, side by side, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, they both knew that the journey was far from over. But they also knew that they had the strength, the love, and the resilience to face whatever lay ahead. And as they looked toward the future, they did so with hope in their hearts, knowing that they had found their way back to each other, and that, no matter what, they would never be alone again. A few years had passed since Olivia's graduation, and life had settled into a beautiful, steady rhythm. The seasons had come and gone, each one leaving its mark on the small, tight-knit family. Olivia had found her calling as a social worker, dedicating her days to helping families in need. The work was challenging, often heart-wrenching, but it was also deeply rewarding. She saw herself in every child she helped, every parent she supported, and that gave her the strength to keep going, even on the toughest days. Emma, too, had found her place in this new chapter. She had started a small business from home, using her skills in design and marketing to help local entrepreneurs grow their brands. It was work that she loved, and it gave her the flexibility to be there for her family whenever they needed her. The bond between the sisters had only deepened with time, their shared experiences drawing them closer in ways they never could have imagined. Lily was now in elementary school, a bright, curious child who filled their home with laughter and light. She thrived in the stable, loving environment her mother and aunt had created for her, and Olivia often marveled at how far they had all come. The girl who had once been lost and scared had blossomed into a confident, happy child, and that was Olivia's greatest accomplishment of all. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves turned vibrant shades of red and gold, Olivia found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. She was sitting on the porch, sipping a cup of tea, the cool breeze brushing against her face. Lily was playing in the yard, her laughter ringing out as she chased after a fluttering butterfly. Emma was inside, finishing up a project, and their mother was in the garden, tending to the flowers that had become her pride and joy. Olivia's thoughts drifted back to the day she had first decided to return to school, the day she had finally chosen to stop running from her past and start building a future. It seemed like a lifetime ago, and yet the memory was still so vivid, so clear in her mind. She could hardly believe how much had changed since then, how much they had all grown. As she watched Lily play, Olivia felt a surge of gratitude for the life they had created, a life that was once unimaginable, but now so wonderfully real. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and that was more than enough. "Mommy!" Lily's voice broke through Olivia's thoughts, pulling her back to the present. She looked up to see her daughter running toward her, a wide grin on her face. "Look what I found!" Lily held out her hand, revealing a small, delicate feather, its soft white edges tinged with gold. Olivia smiled, reaching out to take the feather from her daughter's hand. "It's beautiful, Lily. Where did you find it?" "Over by the big tree," Lily said excitedly, pointing toward the old oak that stood at the edge of their yard. "Can we keep it, Mommy?" Olivia nodded, her heart full as she looked at her daughter. "Of course we can. It's a special feather. We'll put it somewhere safe." Lily's eyes sparkled with joy as she hugged her mother tightly, then skipped off to continue her play. Olivia watched her go, the feather still in her hand, and felt a deep sense of peace. This simple moment, this small treasure, was a reminder of how far they had come, of the beauty that could be found in even the smallest things. As the afternoon turned to evening, and the sky began to glow with the soft hues of sunset, Emma joined Olivia on the porch, a contented smile on her face. "Another busy day at work?" she asked, settling into the chair beside her sister. Olivia nodded, her smile matching Emma's. "Yes, but a good one. It's amazing to see how much of a difference we can make, even in the smallest ways." Emma leaned back, looking out at the yard where Lily was still playing, her laughter filling the air. "You've done so much, Olivia. You've built a life you can be proud of, a life we can all be proud of." Olivia's heart swelled with emotion as she turned to her sister. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emma. You were there for me when I needed you the most. You've always been my anchor, my constant." Emma reached over, squeezing Olivia's hand. "And you've been mine. We've been through so much, but look at us now. We're stronger because of it." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the warmth of their bond enveloping them. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the yard, and the first stars began to twinkle above. It was a perfect evening, the kind that made them both feel grateful for the simple joys of life. Their mother appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a towel, her face glowing with the contentment that came from a day spent in the garden. "Dinner's almost ready," she called, her voice filled with warmth. "Come inside soon." "We'll be right there, Mom," Emma replied, giving her a smile. As their mother went back inside, Olivia stood up, taking one last look at the beautiful scene before her. The yard bathed in the golden light of sunset, Lily's laughter still ringing in the air, the love and peace that filled their home. She knew that life would continue to bring challenges, that there would be ups and downs, but she also knew that they would face it all together as a family. Emma joined her, and together they called Lily inside, their voices blending with the evening sounds of crickets and the rustling of leaves. The three of them walked back into the house, where the smell of dinner greeted them, and where their mother waited with open arms. As they gathered around the table that night, sharing a meal and stories from their day, Olivia felt a profound sense of happiness, a happiness that was born not from perfection, but from the journey they had all taken together. It was a happiness that came from knowing they had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, closer, and more united than ever. And as they laughed and talked, the house filled with warmth and love, Olivia realized that this beautiful, imperfect life was everything she had ever wanted. It was a life built on love, resilience, and the unbreakable bond of family. It was a life that, after all they had been through, they had earned. And it was a life that they would cherish every single day. As the years passed, the family continued to grow closer, each chapter of their lives bringing new experiences, challenges, and joys. Lily was now a teenager, full of dreams and boundless energy. She excelled in school, made friends easily, and shared a deep bond with her mother and aunt, who had become her guiding lights. Olivia's career as a social worker flourished, and she found herself rising to new challenges, helping families navigate their own hardships with the compassion and understanding that only someone who had walked the path herself could provide. Emma's business had grown as well, and she had become a respected figure in the community, known for her generosity and creative spirit. One summer evening, after a long day, the family gathered in the backyard for a special celebration. It was Olivia's birthday, but it felt like more than just another year marked on the calendar. It was a celebration of everything they had achieved together. The yard was strung with twinkling lights, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh flowers and the sounds of laughter. As the sun began to set, casting a warm, golden glow over everything, Lily appeared from the house carrying a cake. The candles flickered gently in the breeze as she carefully placed it on the table in front of her mother. Olivia's eyes sparkled with emotion as she looked at the cake, the years of love and effort that had brought them to this moment reflected in the flames. "Happy birthday, Mom," Lily said, her voice full of warmth and pride. Olivia smiled, her heart full. "Thank you, sweetheart. This is perfect." Emma stood beside them, her own smile mirroring Olivia's. "Make a wish, Liv." Olivia closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the years and the lightness of the present all at once. There was so much she could wish for, but in that moment, she realized that she already had everything she needed. She opened her eyes and blew out the candles, the flames flickering out one by one, leaving only the soft glow of the string lights above. As they shared the cake and stories from the past year, the conversation turned to the future. Lily, ever the dreamer, spoke excitedly about her plans: college, travel, all the things she hoped to accomplish. Olivia listened with a mixture of pride and nostalgia, remembering the girl Lily had been and marveling at the young woman she was becoming. "You've grown up so much," Olivia said softly, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from Lily's face. "I'm so proud of you, Lily. You're everything I could have hoped for and more." Lily's eyes filled with emotion as she looked at her mother. "I'm proud of you too, Mom. You've shown me what it means to be strong, to never give up, no matter how hard things get." Olivia felt a lump form in her throat, her heart swelling with love for her daughter. "I had a lot of help along the way," she said, glancing at Emma, who nodded in agreement. "We all helped each other," Emma added, her voice filled with warmth. "That's what family does. We lift each other up, even when it feels like we can't go any further." Their mother, who had been quietly listening, reached out to take both of her daughter's hands. "And look at where we are now, together, stronger than ever. I couldn't be prouder of the women you've become." As the night wore on and the stars began to twinkle above, the family sat together, reminiscing about the journey that had brought them to this place. The memories were bittersweet, filled with moments of pain, but also of healing and love. Each story they shared was a reminder of the strength they had found in one another and of the unbreakable bond that had carried them through. At one point, Lily disappeared into the house, returning a few minutes later with a photo album. She placed it on the table and began flipping through the pages, revealing pictures from years past, some faded with time, others more recent, but all of them capturing moments of joy, growth, and connection. "Remember this?" Lily asked, pointing to a photo of the three of them on the porch of their old house, taken not long after Olivia had returned. They were all smiling, arms wrapped around each other, their faces glowing with the happiness of being reunited. Olivia smiled at the memory, feeling a rush of warmth. "I remember. That was the beginning of everything, the start of our new life together." Emma nodded, her eyes misty as she looked at the photo. "We've come so far since then. It hasn't always been easy, but we made it through, and we've built something beautiful along the way." Their mother turned the page, revealing a photo of Olivia's graduation day. The image captured the joy and pride in their faces as they stood together, celebrating Olivia's achievement. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the hard work and perseverance that had brought them to that point. "I'm so glad we have these memories," their mother said softly, her voice filled with emotion. They remind us of how far we've come and how much we've accomplished together. As they continued to flip through the album, the photos told the story of their lives, of the challenges they had faced, the milestones they had reached, and the love that had guided them every step of the way. It was a story of resilience, of hope, and of the unshakable bond that had carried them through the darkest of times. Eventually, the album was closed, and they all sat back, content and peaceful in the glow of the night. The cicadas hummed in the background, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves, adding to the serene atmosphere. Olivia looked around at her family, the people who had been with her through everything, and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was where she belonged, where she was meant to be, surrounded by love, supported by the ones who mattered most. They had come full circle, and now they stood together, ready for whatever the future might hold. "It's been a long journey," Olivia said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of the years they had lived. "But I wouldn't trade it for anything. We've been through so much, and we've come out stronger because of it." Emma nodded, her gaze warm and full of love. "And we'll keep moving forward together. There's so much more to look forward to, so much more to experience." Lily, ever the optimist, grinned at her mother and aunt. "We're just getting started." Their mother chuckled, reaching out to take Olivia's hand. "Whatever the future brings, we'll face it together. That's all that matters." As they sat there, under the stars, the night felt endless, filled with the promise of new beginnings and the comfort of knowing they would never be alone. The journey they had taken had shaped them, molded them into the strong, loving family they had become. And as they looked toward the future, they did so with hearts full of hope, knowing that they were ready for whatever life had in store. For Olivia, Emma, and their family, the past had been a crucible, forging them into something unbreakable. And now, as they stepped into the future, they carried with them the lessons they had learned, the love that had sustained them, and the unshakable bond that would guide them through whatever lay ahead. Together, they had found their way, and together, they would continue to write the story of their lives, a story of love, resilience, and the power of family.